Today we're going to talk about reading in social studies, because reading in a social studies class is a little different than reading for fun, because you're analyzing articles and text for content and understanding. There are some distinct steps you need to do in order to read in social studies, and the first one is preview the document. What you do in that step is you look through the whole thing, just sit there and look and find out what the headings are, what are the sections, look at the title. Are there graphics like a map or a chart? If there are graphics, read the caption or the labels. See if you can figure out what the illustration or the graphics are trying to do for you. Go ahead and do that on the article that you're given as an assignment today. The next thing you do is you number the paragraphs. Go through the article. If you can write on the article, write on it. But if you can't, if it's a textbook or something, use a very light pencil that you can erase after. But number every paragraph, even if it only has one sentence in it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use these articles for discussions. You're going to use them in your writing, and you need to cite the paragraph number for your arguments. The next thing you need to do is some people need to, at this point, say, I'm going to go ahead and read the article in depth. Go ahead and read through it. You can do that if you really want to know. But many people will wait and read it more in depth and then go through and do these steps. The next thing you're going to do is chunk the text into sections. There are many ways to do it. The most common way is kind of like an outline, where they have a little intro section of a paragraph or two where the author tells what they're talking about, and then they have main points in the body, and it tells you what their support is, what their main ideas are, and then finally they summarize it in the last paragraph with a little, okay, this is what I told you. Sometimes they make a statement and then just go through and support by examples or whatever. There are many other ways to chunk the text, and you might find a different way to do it. If you do, just be prepared to explain how you did it. I usually just draw a line between different sections. So this is where this idea started, this is where this idea starts. In the article, distance and area really matter. There should be two distinct sections. One is about distance and one is about area. And then you go from there. The next thing you do is you go through and underline the facts that you are looking for based on the questions that you're supposed to answer. Just highlight, if you want to highlight with a pretty color, go ahead and highlight. But the danger with highlighting is some people highlight too much. Just make sure you're underlining the facts. Look at the question and answer that question. If you're making a timeline, then you're going to want to underline the events and the dates. If you're using a comparison, then you're going to underline the facts that you would put on a van. And go through and circle key terms that you need to know. These are things that are defined later on, or that are repeated multiple times. And these are things that you need to understand in order to understand the article. If you don't understand those terms, you need to look them up. The next thing you need to do is in the left margin, summarize what the article is saying, or the topic of the article of that paragraph in less than 10 words. Like you might write the word why, or you might write it circles Antarctica, or something like that. Don't get wordy. It's not a paragraph. It's just some notes that you're going to put in the margin. Finally, after you've done all of this, and I mean all of it, you've got your paragraphs numbered, you're chunked, you're underlined, you're circled, you've got notes in the margin. Now you're going to dig deeper. To dig deeper, you have three choices. The first choice is a little bit of a paragraph, kind of like a summary, where you use a power verb to tell what the author is doing. For example, is the author describing something, explaining something, arguing for something or against something? This should be a little phrase or sentence, about 5 to 10 words. The author is explaining why the Southern Ocean is different from others, or describing the extent of glacial melting. Okay? And then you go through and complete your paragraph by giving the facts or the arguments and the points that the author made. That's your first choice. The next choice that you have is to represent the information with an illustration. An illustration can be a map, it can be a chart, it can be a drawing, It can be anything like that. It cannot be so simple that it's like these little stick figures that just whatever. It's got to be a nice illustration. If you're doing a chart, you should be able to draw some straight lines or use a ruler. If it's a map, it should look recognizable for whatever you're representing. The third thing that you can do is ask some questions. And what I mean by this is use the key to understanding words to pose 3 questions you had as you read the text. So for example, you could say, what is the impact of area on, okay? Impact, significance, those kinds of words. Pose 3 questions. These are questions that if I ask them to you, you should be able to give me some ideas on how you would answer that question. And finally, make sure that you're going to dig deeper until you fill up about a half a page. A sentence will not do it. This assignment needs to be about a half of a page. If you're looking at a whole page article, your dig deeper section should be half of a page. Finally, use these skills to complete the assignment you've been given. We're going to discuss it in class, so do the best you can. Make sure you get it done and bring it to class tomorrow. Thank you.